Hello, everyone. I'm Katarina from proMX. A warm welcome for everyone attending this webinar of proMX, this time Efficient Time Tracking with proMX. We hope you like our session today, and before jumping to the topic, don't miss our next webinars and events. Subscribe to our newsletter and be up to date on all the news around the dynamics. So today we have this topic about time tracking, and we have today our speaker, Raju, our colleague from the development team. Raju, I give the word to you, and please continue.
Okay, thank you, Katrina. Cool. I believe I'm audible to everyone, and yes, so as Katrina said, I also welcome everyone for today's webinar on the efficient time tracking with proMX. So before we go ahead, let me give a brief introduction about myself. So who am I? My name is Raju Gondedahalli, and I'm with proMX for the past 1.5 years, working as a QA engineer in Dynamic 365 testing. So earlier to that, I am in IT industry for about 8+ years of experience, working as a QA engineer with multiple domains, starting from insurance, ERP systems, CRM, and banking projects, as well as these I have been working with manual as well as automation testing. In the meantime, I also worked as a manual and automation testing engineer, along with it as it is trainer. And with that said, the technologies that I have been using as a QA engineer is with the hybrid frameworks and the data-driven frameworks using Selenium, along with the Cypress, which is on the JavaScript, and EasyRepro, which we use it for our Dynamic 365 testing. And also being a business owner, a retail outlet with over about 5 retail outlets and 1 distribution center throughout the state back in India. And also, I'm a passion-driven web app developer using CMS like content management system like WordPress or Joomla. So this is just a brief introduction about myself. And yeah, so with that said, let's begin. What is the agenda for today's topic or the session that we are going to take care? So first, we will see what are the common time tracking challenges that we are facing in current situation or the industry. Along with that, we will see the benefits of utilizing the proMX time tracking solutions. We have 2 solutions, time tracking and mobile time tracking. So let's see the benefits of that. And then we will be switching over to the use cases, where I'll be showing you the demo on how we can utilize time tracking application and mobile time tracking application with the demo. Along with that, at the end, I will show you how do we combine these 2 different applications, and how we can efficiently manage our time tracking utilizing these 2 applications. And at the end, as Katrina said, there will be a Q&A sessions. In the meantime, while performing the demo, if you have any sort of questions, please feel free to put down your questions in the chat section, and we can take up those questions at the end of the session. So please feel free to put down your questions there. So let's start with what are the common time tracking challenges, right? So these days, we have a lot of businesses that are coming up with a lot of employees who are working along with different time zones, different projects, and different countries, right? So with this said, it is very difficult to manage each employee's or each co-worker's time entries. right? So this is the current situation or the scenario that many companies are facing, that how do we overcome this situation and how do we overcome the uh, time tracking thing with all the employees that are in a particular team, right? So with that, to overcome this hurdle, we have developed two solutions, as I said in the earlier slide. One is the mobile time tracking and one is the time tracking solution, right? With this, when we see the first section, in the current situation with the Dynamic 365 or the Microsoft, what we have right now. So let's consider many of us are using the Microsoft Outlook as the appointment. Mm, uh, Many of us use the Outlook as an appointment calendar, right? So when we have any appointment on that particular calendar, so it's not possible for us to book the time directly on our Outlook calendars. So it bit of an hassle for us. Okay, how do we track it down? So instead of that, it is easy for us to go ahead. If we think that if we have a button just to go ahead and click book, so how easy it is for us. It makes our life easy. But unfortunately, it is not possible, right? And in this, in the second case as well, so there is no visual availability of the visual time interest status on the calendar grid. So what does it mean exactly on the calendar grid? So uh, if we want, currently we have a solution on the Dynamics 365 called time entries, but how do we view all the time entries in one single go with the visual aspect? It is very difficult for us to identify which is submitted or which is in draft state, which is approved time entry. So everything cannot be uh, shown or everything cannot be seen in one single view, right? So that is one drawback right now, what we have in the industry, and that we need to overcome. And along with that, are uh, if we are working as a team, and let's consider there is a resource manager who want to view all the resource time entries from his end, and he want to prove it to his team that, okay, these are all the time entries and these are all the projects that my team is working, and this is how much we have spent on particular uh, time entry, particular project, and this is how we are utilizing our time, right? Uh, with this particular view, it is not possible in the current situation on the market, and we couldn't find any applications that showcase us with the a beautiful overview of what is the status of this time entry and how we can organize them, right? So that's the reason we are here with two different solutions, which will benefit everyone in the industry, where they can easily manage and uh, create their time entries, and also help others to maintain the time entries. So what next? So currently we know the challenges. What are the challenges we have seen here? So what would be the next thing, right? It might be a question for a lot of people around. What should we do next? So definitely, right? So there are some certain benefits. As we said, we have different solutions. So every solution comes with benefits. So what are the benefits that you'll be getting from proMX time tracking solutions, right? So let us first look into the left-hand section, that is mobile time tracking, right? In the mobile time tracking, our application helps you to book the time entries from your Outlook calendar appointments into time entries. So within just one click of a button, right? So that is as easy as it is. And as we all utilize the Microsoft To-Dos, it is one of the application from the Microsoft. So we utilize To-Dos, so which helps us to track every day's To-Dos task list and it will showcase all the lists between us, but it is a different application. So what happens is Microsoft To Do will help, as I said, it will help us to list down all the tasks for today, but we have integrated the to-dos list in our mobile time tracking app, where on the go we can check our tasks on the go, and we can sync it with our to-dos app, and we can recall those things when we are at the desk. And also, since there will be multiple projects assigned to multiple team members, right? So when there is a task assigned to a team member, and that particular team member is on the go, and he will be working on certain projects, doing some client visits and other stuff. So there is no need for the user to come back to his desk and then create a time entry for himself. But there is a benefit of using the mobile time tracking, because he or she can directly book the time entry from the task itself, assigned task on the go, without having a computer on his or her hand. So it can be done on the go through a mobile app. So this is the benefit of it. So here, and also they can edit it, they can submit, recall, and delete the book time entries based on their convenience. And sorry for that. Yes. And it also helps to keep an overview of your booked hours by day-by-day statuses. So that's pretty easy for us to manage. Okay, how the time entries are looking for this particular week, for our week or the work week, right? So with that said, this is the benefits that will be utilized, that will be coming from the mobile time tracking, and how does it look with the time tracking application? So there are two different solutions: mobile time tracking, time tracking. So mobile time tracking is basically run on the Power Apps, and time tracking is an application that run on the Dynamic 365, right? So this can be run on a web app, like any Chrome browser or any Mozilla browser. So all the benefits what we see on the mobile time tracking is included in the time tracking as well, where it's for the multi-project and multitask time tracking. What does it mean exactly? So a person will not be assigned to only one task, right? So, or only one project. So there will be multiple projects that will be assigned to a resource. So how do they manage it? So with the time tracking, it is easy for us to utilize the resources project task and the project entities, which we can showcase it as a project tree, and based on the project assigned for that particular resource, it is easy for them to go ahead and book a time entry. And timestamps to mark the start and end of a working day. So all the working days will be taken from the bookable resources work hours, which will be set on the global level on that system. So these are all the benefits that we could look into as the solution from these two applications that we have right now up and running. So with that said, so we have seen the benefits and we have seen what are the challenges. So next thing would be like we have to see some sort of use cases, right? So with the use cases, what are the different use cases that in general a user will be willing to do for utilizing the time entry? So let's first look into a use case on the web app, that is the time tracking on the Dynamic 365, where a user creating a new time entry and submitting it. And let's imitate as a manager by approving the time entry or rejecting the time entry. And then we can also act as a resource manager and creating a time entry for the other resource whether the resource is considering the resource is not in the office, and also tracking time entries on the charts as well. So with that said, let's hop on to the demo quickly. Let me share my other screen. Could someone please give me a thumbs up? Okay, it's visible. Perfect. Thanks, Katrina. So let's look into the view of how the tracking application looks like, and you can see that this is completely under the Dynamic 365 project operations. Yes, to give a bit on the overview, this is tracking application is available for both the PSA version as well as the PO version, right? So it's easy for you to choose which domain you would like to go for. And currently we are utilizing the project operations tracking application. So whenever we log into the project operations, we'll be having a tracking section on the left-hand corner. This is the navigation section. And here, this is the grid, which is been implemented something similar to the Outlook. Whenever we log in, it will always highlight the work week, and it will always show the today's date highlighted, something like this. And it has a ribbon which shows the refresh button, it shows the submit button, recall button, expense, and the grid. So initially, today, what we'll be looking for is what exactly each of these buttons do, and why do we have this section here, and what are all the what does these buttons do here, and what is the section of the charts does, which is in our use case, and what does the resource section does for us, right? And so let's consider this is for today, so 29th. So what I do is I highlight two sections. So what happens is highlighting of two sections will show it says 30 minutes. Why is it? Because we can choose a different categories. It shows the different categories, like how many minutes you would like to showcase on your time into grid, right? So if I choose about 10 minutes of time slots for each hour, so it will bifurcate into different time slots. So this is quite easy for us to manage, like for how long do we need to do a time entry, right? So it could be like 60 minutes, which shows about one section, one slot. 30 minutes will show two slots, and 15 minutes will show four slots, and 10 minutes, it's five slots. So that's pretty easy in that case. So what we can do is, if you want to, let's say, I worked for about 30 minutes of time in order to prepare in preparing the demo data for the time entries, demo data for the customer, right? So what I do is I highlight the section of 30 minutes and I right click on that particular section. So what it shows me two different options to create a new time entry and you create a new expense. So what can be done here is we always choose new time entry because we are creating a time entry right now. So, and you can see the new time entry window is open. So you might be wondering, so where did this come from? And what is it showing here exactly? Here you can see that on the left-hand section of the window, this is called as a project tree, and this is the field section. Under the project tree, you will see all the tasks and the projects that are assigned to you based on the customer. So proMX AG, what we have on the top level is the customer, and the Maxwell INC, what we have is called the a project, and task 01, 02, and task 03 are the project task assignments. And along with that, you can see what are the start date, finish date, and how many efforts are included in it, and how many efforts are remaining for this particular task. So based on those things, you can easily manage on what could be done for this particular project task, right? Uh, and there are a couple of quick buttons which will help you to navigate, like to expand and collapse. So to expand it, it will expand all the project and the project task, and to collapse, it will swiftly close all the things. And in the search button, this is a very small example what we are taking right now, but if considering there are a lot of uh, project task assignments, so we can directly go as task 003. So when we type in task 003, it will highlight the task 003, and it will filters out, and we can choose it. So this is how it works with the search button. And on the left-hand section, on the right-hand section of this window, you can see that we have a date section. So without fail, we can already see that today is 29th, and this is the exact date where we chose a 30-minute time frame for that particular time entry. So this is 29th, and the duration, it is showing duration as 30 minutes. So exactly, that was 30 minutes duration, and it is the type of work, right? So it is an option set where you can choose it as a work, overtime, absence, or a vacation. Okay, so currently we will be choosing it as a work. So, and how did this project task and the role come in, right? So what happened is when we chose the task 003, what happened is it will automatically pick up all the details from the project task and the role from the project task assignment itself. So it will populate automatically based on the selection. Okay, and subcontract line. So these are the project related settings that we could implement. But for these projects, there are no subcontract and subcontract line assigned. So we won't be choosing it since it is not a mandatory field. And we can give we need to give the description because since it is a mandatory field, time entry 001, and we can say as demo. And we can also give any external comments in that case. And we can hit save button. What happens is the time entry is saved, right? So the time entry is saved, and the status of the time entry is also highlighted by hovering over the mouse on the top right corner of the time entry grid, or the time entry tile, what we call it as. It will show the status of the time entry. Okay, we created a time entry. What next then? So after we create a time entry, so there will be time entries which can be submitted in multiple ways. So the two ways I can show you on how we can submit it on the tracking application. So one is through the context menu. That is how the context menu works. So go on the time entry, right click on the time entry created, which is in the draft state. And when you right click, there are different options: open in CRM, submit, and delete. So you can choose which you would like to go for. So when we click on submit button, what happens is it processes and it submits the time entry, and the color changes from gray to orange, highlighting this is a submitted time entry. And how do we check on a quick view? So you can hover over your mouse on the top right corner of the time entry tile. So it will show the submitted time entry on the tooltip. Right. So, okay, you submitted a time entry. So what happens next, right? In the submitted time entry, we cannot approve the time entry on the tracking, but on dynamic, we have a separate section for approvals. So what we can do is we can go for the project approvals. So here, so this is the time entries that we have submitted. So these are all the time entries which are under approval. So let's look out for the time entry which submitted now. Yeah, this is the one, time entry 001 demo. So this was the time entry that was submitted by me, and the resource. Yeah, because you can see that I submitted the time entry and I'll be approving it, but it's all the role based. So the reason is because uh, I am the project approver. So that's the reason this time entry is coming for the approval under my name. So what happens is this is the project time entry, and we highlighted, we just have a review about it, and then we can double click and open the time entry. Right. Okay, it's here. Yes. Double click and open the time entry, and you can see what exactly has happened for this, and which project and for which resource, and on what date. So based on everything, we can have a review, and then we can approve on this page or on the previous page. So depending on this, and anything which is comfortable for the approver, right? And what happens here? So the project time entry is approved, is a record state, right? And when we come back to the tracking application, we couldn't see nothing happen. Yeah, because it's an async row. So that's the reason. What we need to do is we need to click on the refresh button. What happened on just one click? So the color of the time entry tile changed to green from orange. So what is it exactly? When we hover over the mouse on the time entry tile, so it shows approved, right? So which means that the time entry is approved. And to highlight here, three time entries, like the approved time entries, submitted time entry, and the recall requested time entries, uh, cannot be edited because of the safety precautions. And uh, to give a bigger picture for, and it cannot be edited, or malpractices, so it cannot be edited. So if you open the time entry which is approved or submitted or recall requested, so you can see all the fields are read only. So nothing can be changed or added or edited. So that's the best part of it. Okay, so these are the three different stages that we saw on the tracking application, right? And how we do it on the day wise. So you can see when we click on the day, it will show the day, and when we click on the month, it will show all the monthly time entries with different status, right? So this is with the time tracking. And one thing what I missed here, or two things what I missed here, is the one is the quick view chart. So the quick view chart, what you can see here is this. Here you can see the target, actual, and the difference. And these are all the work week. And these are all coming from the users work hours template. That is, whenever a user is assigned as a bookable resource, we need to assign them a work hour template. So based on the work hour template, all the target values will be coming and staying up here. So based on these, actuals will be calculated for a difference of time entries available. Right. So if you can see, this is a 30-minute time entry that we created, and we have a 30 minutes of time entry. So 8 hours, 30 minutes is still remaining. And one best part with this is we can also copy the time entries. If there is a duplicate time entries that we need to create for a different project, or a different title for the project, so what we can do is we can simply hold on the control button, and we can click on this time entry and drag and drop it. So what happens is the time entry which is approved will be copied, but it will be copied as a draft state. And you can go ahead and edit it. So, okay. So this saves a lot of time for many of us in order to create it, time entry, right? And another one thing what we can see, let's consider a user is having more than 300 assignments. So what he need to do is he need to go and check, okay, for which project I have raised this time entry. So what he can do is just simply go ahead and click on this, double click on it, and when the window opens, so it will directly starts highlighting the task that is being created for that particular time entry. So it is easy for navigation purpose as well, right? And let's take a next use case with regarding to the resource manager, right? So let's consider I'm a resource manager and I have a team of 4 people. And with these 4 people, I want to create a time entry for a test automation admin user. What I do is I go ahead and select the test automation user and refresh the grid. And you can see the time entries which was there earlier is gone. It is not available anymore. It is because those were my time entries, and this grid what you are seeing, it is from the test automation user. So what we can do is we can go ahead and create a new time entry for this particular user for 1 hour, and this user is for this. And you can see that the tasks will get filtered based on the resource assignment. In the earlier resource, you could see 3 different tasks for this project, and you can see only 1 task for this particular project, right? And you can see the role here as well. Based on the assignment, the role changes again. So here it is the team member role, and there it was project manager role. And the duration is updated as 1 hour, as we saw it earlier, and the description, you need to update it. 002, and let's save it. So the time entry is saved in the name of uh, test automation user. If you want to confirm it, so we can go to the CRM and open it by right-clicking, open in CRM. So it will open the time entry in the new tab, and it will show who is the team member role, and it is also the information for this. And it will show for how long, 9 to 10 o'clock. So that's the time entry that is we have created right now, and we can submit the time entry, right? And we can go to the project approvals, go to the project approvals and refresh the grid, and you can see time entry 002, which we created right now. And you can see who is the resource. The resource is the test automation admin user, and who submitted it. So it was the resource manager, as it was mine resource, and for this particular user. And we can reject it, put some comments, and then click on OK, right? So it is processed. So what happens is whenever you come back here and see, you can see the status changed to returned, which is not approved. Yes, so this is pretty much with the time tracking. There is a lot of things that we could combine with the tracking application, but due to time constraints, let's move on to our main topic with mobile time tracking, right? So before we move to mobile time tracking, let's see what are the use cases that we could look in for the mobile time tracking, right? Okay, and yes, so here with the mobile time tracking, we need to create a new time entry, which we saw in the tracking application as well, and manager approving or rejecting a time entry and validate. It is to validate the status in the application, and we can book a time entry from the calendar appointments, as we discussed in the slide number 3, and filtering the appointments. So it will help us in order to see what are the appointments and how we can filter it, whether it is approved time entry, approved accepted appointment, or which is a tentative or a new appointment that has come into our calendar. So it is easy in that case. and updating the list from the Microsoft To Do, as we discussed earlier as well. So we can see that as well, how we can manage our to-do list, and we can also book our time entries from the task assignment. So which we saw something very, very similar to that we did in the previous demo, right? And also we can see on editing or submitting a book time entry and validating the status of those particular time entries, right? So with that said, let's quickly hop on to our mobile time tracking. Okay. So could someone please give me a thumbs up if it's visible, the mobile time track? Thank you. All right. Okay, so yes. So as I said, mobile time tracking is can be played on the Power Apps, Microsoft Power Apps, right? So you can see that this is the Power App, and we are utilizing mobile time tracking on it. And this is how it looks on a browser. And this is the some similar version that can be seen on the mobile app. So you need to download the Power Apps, and then you need to have access for the application in order to experience it. Okay, so what are we seeing on this screen? So as I said earlier, so what is it exactly, right? So you can see the appointment section, right? And this is the user for that particular My Day section. And this is the My Day. Whenever you log into the application, My Day is the first thing which will be delivered to the user. And under My Day, you'll be having what is the today's date, right? And what is the weather for today. And under those sections, so you'll be having the appointments. So what does these appointments do? As we spoke earlier, this is one of the challenges that we are having in the current market, where we cannot book our time entries for the appointments directly on the calendar grid, right? So this is where that particular challenge could be overridden, right? So how do we do it? So appointments. So here it is showing all the appointments which are under the user Outlook calendar. So this is for my Outlook calendar for now today. This is for today's Outlook calendar from me, right? So it is showing the newly come in appointment as well as a tentative appointment. So what we can do is we can go ahead and click on show accepted, right? So when we click on show accepted, it will filter out. So what are all the time entries that are, sorry, what are all the appointments that are available and which are already accepted by the user, right? So this will show in this case. And what do we do next? So these are all the things. So I completed 12 to 12:30, 30 minutes of meeting in the afternoon. What should I do? I need to go ahead and book this. It's already evening, so I have to go home, and I couldn't do a time recording earlier today. So this is the time I could do. So it's 12 o'clock, as you saw on the appointment. It's 12 o'clock, and this is for today. Yes, and this is for 30 minutes. And the title is also updated, right? And here we need to choose the tasks and the project. So here we have a Maxwell. So that's only one project that has been assigned to the particular user. And based on the project, the role is updated accordingly, right? And we can choose the project task assignment. So what exactly the project task was all about and meeting was all about. So we can choose accordingly, and we can set it. So based on the project and the project task, so the role will be updated, and you can update the description as well, or else you can leave it as it is, and you can click on OK. So what happens is it will get saved. Once it is saved, you can go to time entries and verify, right? Just a second. This is the time entry that we created with our appointment, calendar appointment, right? So this is the one, and it is in the draft state, and which will allow you to edit the time entry as well. So this is one way that we can create a time entry, right? So this is from the My Day section. Okay, so what is the second way how we can create a time entry, right? So it was from the appointment and it is done. So we have a My Work section where it shows all the project and the project assignments of that particular resource. And it will show what are the current tasks of that particular user where he has been assigned to. And you can see on your overview, it shows about 8.5 hours of booked time entries, and it will show 1 hour and based on the project and the hours booked for that particular task. So, and also it shows the team members available for that particular project and the project tasks. For this project, we can go ahead and see, okay, fine, I worked on this particular task for about 2 hours for this particular day. And okay, before I go ahead, you can see when I click on the book button, so it will open a new time entry tab. So it opens up for the current date, and it will it will round off to the closest time, that is 5:45 p.m., right? So where it will it won't be like to the ceiling. It will be to the ceiling or to the floor. If it is lesser than 10 minutes, so it will come down as 5:30. If since it is a bit ahead of it, so it is 5:45. And let's say it is for about 4 o'clock. I'm creating a time entry, right? I choose 4 o'clock and I click OK. And I say it is for about 1 hour time. And I update the time entry description. So it's for the task time entry demo, right? And we can give some external comments. And this is of a type work. And we can save it. So you can see the booked hours has been increased from 0.5 hours to 1.5 hours, right? So when we come back to the time entries tab here, you can see the time entry for 4 o'clock is booked, and it's for 1 hour, and it's in the draft state. So this is the second way of creating a time entry on the mobile application. And there is one more way how we can book a time entry. Right. On the time entries page itself, you can see at the bottom right corner, you can see a button. You need to tap on this. When you tap on that particular button, so it will open up the time entry tab. So this is the page which we saw it earlier. So what we need to do is we need to choose the time. It's 5 o'clock. Let's say it's 5 o'clock, and let's say it's for 45 minutes, right? Yep. It's for the 45 minutes, and let's choose the project. It's the same project, and we have project tasks 003, and let's update time entry. All right, so time entry, it's 5 o'clock and 45 minutes, and it's a type of work, right? Save it. Yep. Here we can see that newly created time entry has been sitting in the bottom of the stack. It is because based on the time zone, based on the time, the time entries will stack up accordingly. Because it is 5 o'clock, it won't go beyond 4, so it will be at the end. And if you create something at 9 o'clock, it will sit between 12 and 8:30. So that's how it is designed. And it is easy for us to check on the hourly time entries. And okay, so this is how we can create time entries in 3 different ways. And what next? So I need to submit a time entry, right? So I need to highlight that particular time entry, and you can see that submit button. We need to highlight it. When we highlight, we have 2 different options. One is to delete and one is to submit. So this is a delete option, this is submit option. So you can choose either. When we choose the delete option, so it will ask, do you really want to delete it? So we say yes, and that time entry is gone. So that's quite simple, and we can recreate it again later. So let's do one more thing. Let's submit this time entry, right? So the submit time entry chain, the draft is submitted one, and you can see the transition here from a gray color to the orange color, draft to submitted. So how do we approve it? So approval happens on the CRM itself. So we need to go back to our CRM, right? So we need to go back to our CRM. Let's go back to the approvals, right? So into this, it's time entry demo, that's 002. And let's refresh this. And you can see time entry demo, task 002. And this is available for the time entries for approval. And let's go ahead and approve it. And it's done. And let's come back and refresh. So why can't we refresh it just like a normal one? But yes, that's a new feature that we are trying to implement in our next sprints, where we are coming up with automatic refresh, or the button which we are planning to implement to refresh the grid without any issues or closing the app. Okay, so now we can see the status is changed to approved, and the color of the tile is also changed to green, so which highlights it as an approved time entry, right? And again, so this cannot be edited. So all the fields will be read only, so nothing can be changed. But an approved time entry can be recalled. So how we recall a time entry? So we click on the recall button on the top right corner of the particular time entry. What happens is you can see the time entry color changed from green to blue, and the status changed to recall requested. So what happens is recall requested also a type of time entry which cannot be edited, right? So you can see it cannot be edited. So what should we do next? So we need to go back to the approve CRM, and then we need to change our view to recall request for approvals. So we have a different section where we need to recall the requests, right? So this is the one, task 002, time entry for demo, and we need to approve the recall request. And this is done. Let's go back to our time tracking here. And let's go back. Okay, here you can see the time entry demo status is changed to returned, and the color is updated to maroon to highlight this is a written time entry. And this time entry can be edited, right? So you can choose anything, you can change things, and you can do it, right? So this is how we can manage our time entries on this mobile application. So let's check on the second point that we had seen on the use case for the to-dos list, right? So what happens with the to-dos list? So to-do is nothing but the time entries. This is the section that we have for to-dos. And in my day, we have the raise issue, and we have 2 different types of to-dos. That was created on 26th, and this was not completed yet. So it is still showing as to-do for this particular day because there is no end date specified for that. So what should what do we do? So we let's create to do section planning. So this is a section planning that's for the focus of my day. And let's come back to the application since this was not yet refreshed. So let's refresh the system and let's wait for the to-dos to load. So what we did on Microsoft To Do, that on my day, we created a section planning. That's a task that I need to do it for today. And on the go, what I do is like, okay, I have to visit a customer and then we need to check. And this particular task is done from by me. And then on the go, what I can do is like, okay, fine. So this is still pending and I can check mark this. What happens is you can see on the top, the processing starts happening and that particular task is removed from to-dos. So if we come back to our Microsoft To Do, you can see that section is completed. It has been updated as completed. So it is quite easy for us to take these things in one single app for our day-to-day work life, right? So yes, and you can, yeah, so that's the part with the to-dos. And you might be wondering, what are these overview of work by day and work by status, right? So whatever the time entries that we have created here will be shown as an overview of the time entries by the status and by the day, right? So this is by the day and this is by the status. So 1.5 hours of written time entry, and you can see the ledger for these status here to give you an overview of the overall picture for the time entries created for the user. And it will not be like per day, it is for the work week. And here we can also create for the other days as well. This is for today, right? You can see this is for today, and we can navigate to different days based on our requirement. We can go and let's consider we need to go back to 23rd. I forgot to add some time entry here. I go for this 23rd, and it will update all the 23rd appointments and everything. So what I can do is I can go ahead and directly book a time entry for that particular day. Right. Yes. And this is for 30 minutes. And based on the time, it will pick it up. And again, the time entry is created for that particular day. And this is the time entry for that. All right. So this was a pretty longer session. It took for a long time. Yes. So let's continue with my next topic. So it's let's make it quick. Here. Okay. So here you can, these are all the use cases that we have seen with the short demo. And the next thing what we could see is with how we can combine the time tracking and the mobile time tracking, right? So for now, we saw the systems individually and how do we combine it, right? So combination of these two systems is pretty easy for us to manage our day-to-day time entries, right? So let me quickly hop on to the demo screen again. All right, so yes, so what we can do is I had already shown a couple of things, how it is being integrated between the mobile app and the CRM, right? So for 23rd, we created a time entry. So let's go back to our tracking application and let's have a refresh on this and let's navigate to 23rd, right? So 23rd is the previous week. So 23rd is a Friday, and the time entry that we created was for 3 o'clock, as we remember. And this is the time entry that we created is sitting in the tracking application on the web app as well. And here, what I do is I see it is in draft status. What I do is I'll submit this and I go back to my system, mobile app, and then I refresh it. And then I will navigate back to 23rd, right? Yes, 23rd. And under the time entries, you can see the status is updated as submitted and the color is changed to orange. So this is a pretty interesting integration between two different applications, that is mobile time tracking and the web time tracking. So, yep. So this was the cool thing that I wanted to show at the end. And yes, this is with thing. And let me. Yep. And do you have any questions? So we are almost into our webinar. So I believe there were a lot of questions from the audiences, and I believe a lot of questions has been answered as well. So for Katerina, do you have any questions that you would like to highlight, and we can go through it?
Can you hear me?
Yes, it's audible.
Yeah. Hi, Raj. Thank you so much for the presentation. Yeah, so we had a couple of questions, and Jacob from our team helped to solve them. But maybe to clarify and make a small summary for the guys. So these solutions are for our standalone solutions, or they are working, for example, with another product together.
Is that
Can you hear me, Raju?
yes, now it's clear. I was not able to hear you earlier. Could you please
Oh,
repeat it? If you
all
don't mind?
right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, so just to summarize for the guys and for people who are watching us about these two solutions, are they standalone solutions? Can they work on their own? Should we install them somewhere? If there are people, for example, who are not familiar with the Dynamics 365.
Yes, these are not the standalone applications, but these are the applications which come along with the project operations and the PSA versions. That's for the web application time tracking. And for the mobile application, we need to have the access with the Power Apps, Microsoft Power Apps. So these are the two different things that we require in order to use these applications.
All right. I don't see any more questions in the chat.
Great. Okay, so in that case, okay, so this could be the first demo that will be coming up with the time tracking. So there might be some questions when people need more clarification. So with that said, please don't hesitate to connect me on LinkedIn. And if you have any sort of questions, and if you have anything that is required, and if you're seeking for any answers, please do not hesitate to write to me on LinkedIn. And this is my LinkedIn profile. Maybe you can scan the QR code, and get connected with me on LinkedIn. So I'll be waiting for your questions, and I'll be happy to answer if there is anything that I could help with.
I see one last question from Emmons. My secretary manages my appointments in Outlook. How do I get these entries into proRM? I guess it meant by proRM Fast Start.
Yes, it looks program Fast Start. Maybe if there is. Okay, this one I need to get an answer for you. Maybe I can take this offline and give you a brief answer for this.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Since we are also running a little bit of time,
Yes.
Please feel free to connect in LinkedIn and continue the conversation there. And from my side, thank you everyone for joining us today. Please feel free to visit our website and our new page where we explain and put all the information available for you about time tracking, mobile time tracking, and other resources. Actually, if you're a small, medium enterprise, we have a solution which is program Fast Start, and it has also a kind of a tracking in that system as well. So please feel free to get there and get all the information and download also our white paper where we illustrate in different case studies all the solutions as well. Thank you so much for your time again, and have a nice evening.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye.